I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is why men get jealous of their women's past. So this is something that comes up fairly frequently in my sessions with folks, both in my private practice and in my consultations. And it's very troubling for some guys. It really eats them up inside. They learn a few details of their woman's sexual history. They extrapolate mental fantasies based on those details. And these fantasies more or less come to torture these individuals. And if they're not careful, they can act out of that pain and punish their women for what they did before they even met them. Obviously, not a constructive behavior in a relationship. However, it is a real thing. It can really bother men, and I'm here to explain why this is the case. This is important because where understanding is, anger is not. To let go of the bitterness, men must first understand what is happening inside of them. So here we go. First of all, you have to understand that men don't feel this way about all women's sexual history. Guys, think about it. If you were just to hook up with a woman, if you had a brief fling or a friends with benefits situation, I doubt that you would be emotionally bothered by her sexual past. If anything, her sexual past was kind of an asset to you because it allowed ease of access to a sexual relationship with her. If she had never had a casual sexual relationship before, it would have been more difficult for you to engage her in one for the first time. So on some level, her sexual history made it easier for you to enjoy a sexual relationship with her. And I doubt that you would be bothered by that. So this phenomenon in men only occurs in certain relationships. And what relationships are those? It occurs when a man has become emotionally bonded with a particular woman. And why does this occur? It can't be the mate guarding behavior that evolutionary psychologists like to talk about. In this case, there's no one to guard her from. Let's assume that she hasn't done anything untoward in the relationship and that, in fact, she is as loyal as she can be. So why does the jealousy flare up about her past? The answer is that when a man becomes emotionally bonded with a woman, he begins to do things that he wouldn't do with other women, women with whom he was only sleeping. He begins to make commitments and sacrifices. Maybe he moves her in. Maybe he proposes or gets married. Time, energy, money, and opportunity are all sacrificed on the altar of that relationship. And this is not something he ordinarily does. This is not usual behavior. So his mind, observing this behavior, is in a bit of a quandary. It's like, this isn't like you, man. What's going on with you? This is the state of cognitive dissonance, and it's not a very pleasant place to be. So people generally try to resolve that dissonance one way or another, usually unconsciously, in order to avoid the negative emotionality of that state. And the way that most men unconsciously resolve the dissonance in this situation is believing some variant of, I'm making this huge investment and this inordinate commitment to this particular woman, things that I've never done before for any other woman, because this woman is special. She's not like the other women. She's different. And her difference is the legitimate basis for my different behavior. Yeah, it makes sense that I would treat a special person specially. And what makes her special, among other things, is that she doesn't do the kinds of things that other women, like the women I've casually slept with, do. Therefore, I feel good about the commitment and sacrifice I'm making. It's warranted in this particular case. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message. It's word-of-mouth referrals like this that really help to grow the channel. And if you're thinking about going to grad school, be sure to check out my top-rated GRE self-study program at stellargre.com. You can use the coupon code PSYCH for 10% off all membership plans. Now, resolving dissonance in this way is how men really fuck themselves up, because almost none of that is true. Think about it. At a certain point, you reach an age when some of the women that you've just casually slept with, they get involved with other guys. They get married to these men and start families. And you're probably not thinking, Wow, what a lucky guy. I wish I could change places with that dude. More likely, you think something like, wow, I can't believe a guy put a ring on that finger. No jealousy at all. But here's the thing. Other guys that your woman may have hooked up with in the past, are probably thinking the same thing about you. That's not a great feeling. No guy wants to think that his special little lady was some other guy's slut for the night. Guys, the truth is, and this can be a bitter pill to swallow, your woman isn't special. She's just special to you. That specialness may only exist in your own mind. To other men, she may just be a willing, warm body. Men really get themselves in a pickle when they attempt to resolve their dissonance by believing that their women are different and that they would never do things that other women would do. A woman is a woman, man, and a woman will do what a woman will do. And expecting that your particular sweetheart or wife or fiance is going to be the exception is probably not grounded in reality. And the pain that results from coming into contact with that truth is not her fault. That's something that you're potentially doing to yourself through your beliefs and expectations, and you need to find a way to get around that. Now, if the scales fall from your eyes and you begin to see your woman as just another woman, maybe you won't marry her or make big, uncharacteristic commitments or sacrifices, and maybe that's for the best. But even if you do decide to take that step, you can do so with your eyes open and without illusions. You're not marrying some chaste little princess. She's a woman like any other woman, and that means she comes with some kind of sexual history one way or another. In my Truth About Romance series, I made an episode on how romance is for men. Here's another illustration of that fact. Romance, the idealization of love, the pedestalization of woman, is a tool that men use to justify to themselves the inordinate expense and commitment they're making to one particular woman. Because without that veneer of specialness, if a man saw his woman like any other woman as just a woman, it would be very, very hard for that man to make an extraordinary commitment to an ordinary person. Romance is one way guys rationalize their behavior relative to a specific woman. And knowledge of their woman's past jeopardizes that rationalization, which is what provokes the jealousy. You got it? So what's the upshot? It's basically this. Your woman is not different. This may provoke some anger or resentment in some of you, but you can work through that. You can work through that and arrive at the point where you can see her as just another human being. No better, no worse. And only then can you really decide whether there is enough left to justify your commitment. And until that time, you're just bullshitting yourself. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've gotten this far, you might as well like this episode and subscribe to this channel. You may also consider becoming a channel member with perks like priority review of comments or booking a paid consultation. As always, thank you for listening.